Right, okay, we're at Allan's snack bar. Allan's traditional fish and chip shop is what I was talking to the owners there about. And
Babe. Daniel.
right, we're at Allan's in Paisley. Now, it goes under the name of Allan's Traditional Fish and Chips, but also on Google I found it as Allan's Snack Bar. Now, there was a bit of confusion there and I wasn't sure what to actually call it. So we're now calling it Allan's and we're in Paisley. So we've got a bit of an assortment here. First thing I want to try is the lentil soup. But this place, as I said, was recommended to me. Well, that looks pretty special. You know what? That's really nice. Wow. Yeah. You can see why that was a recommendation. And all these things are made in-house. They make a lot of the stuff in-house, which is always good. As you can see by the weather, it's still peeing it down, which isn't making for a pleasant experience. Thankfully, the food is. So let me just put that to one side a second. We've got some scraps here. They look interesting, don't they? All kinds of bits going on there. Yeah, I like them. They're a real mix of all kinds of scraps. I don't know whether that's a steak pie or steak and gravy or what's going on, but let's crack it open. I'm on a bit of a slope here, so I don't want to empty this down a hill. Right, okay. Well, that's pretty moist. Let me just have a little try at this here. So if this is the pie, or at least how they do it, steak and gravy or whatever, this is the crust. Yeah. So no doubt, we'll sit that on the top and let it draw up some of that moisture. And we're going to go for the haddock and chips. And this is said to be a bit of an institution. Over 70 years, I believe, it's been going. Oh, that looks nice. And the way they put this bit of paper between the chips and tartar sauce going on here. So I think I actually ordered tartar sauce, so that's probably been put in there. I don't know whether you get that normally. So I'm going to put a squeeze of lemon on here. That fish looks delightful. Check out these chips. Yeah, they're good chips. Oh yeah, really good chips. And they cook in rapeseed oil. Yeah, for some reason, I've just noticed a little side camera here has switched itself off. So I've just restarted that. And you know, while I'm at it, I'm going to look at this one too. So I blame this weather anyway. There wasn't really much you could see with that soup. So let's crack this in half. That's a lovely piece of haddock. Look at that. The freshness going on in there. That really is a treat. This is their own tartar sauce. So we're going to give it a little dip. Right, now I've had this pastry soaking up a little bit of the gravy. Let's go for it. Don't eat this in the car, whatever you do. You know what? Let me just have a little bite of this steak out of here. Look at that. It's the strangest kind of pie, but I've never had it. That's like steak and gravy, if you like. So because of the camera glitch, There's the scraps again. And they were delicious. They really were. I'll mix them in with the gravy, actually. That'll probably thicken it up a bit. And another look at that soup, in case you didn't get a good look at it. Well, you wouldn't have done from that angle if the camera was off. Yeah, very good. There's plenty of tables going on in there. The car park here, there's maybe 20 spaces. And it says private car parking space, permit holders only. Now, I went into the shop there because it was before 4 o'clock after parking up here and asked if there was any parking, if this was their parking. And they said, yes, it was, as long as you're eating in the restaurant. I said, we'll actually take it away. I said, well, it doesn't matter as long as you're using the services, you know, you can use the car park. So cool. And just how many spaces now? There's probably, I don't know, maybe 8 spaces available right now. I don't know what it's like at busy times, and I don't know where you'd park otherwise. But there is other car park. There's a main car park across the road, going back up the hill, and do a left. I think there's a great big one over there. Yeah, there's plenty of seating in there, tables and chairs, cozy. It's kind of old worldy, if you like. There's wooden panels and antique look to it. There's toilets in there. It's all good. The service was wonderful. Yeah, so it's back to the computer. Well, we'll have in a few days. Well, we'll have a look at some reviews. You know, I always go for a low one, somewhere in between, a high one, and then mine. So we'll see you there. So as you can see by that, really enjoyed it. The pie was so unusual. I mean, I've never known anything like that. You know, it just didn't seem right to be calling it a pie. It was like a steak and gravy with a crust. I mean, that's pretty much a pie, isn't it? You know, but it's usually a lot thicker than that. I don't know. It would be nice to have poured over a load of chips, get a bread roll and dip that into some of that gravy. Yeah, that's an idea if ever I'm back there. So let's have a look at some reviews. 1 star. I went to get myself and my grandkids macaroni, as I would give ALLAN'S 5 stars for food the waitress brought over and told the kids that the food was very warm, which you would expect, but my granddaughter of 7 years touched the dish the food was in and burnt 2 of her fingers. When I told the boss of the Chippy what happened, he proceeds to say she was told it was roasting. I said she's 7 years and expected her food to be roasting, not the dish it was in. So parents need to look out for the plates or bowls the food is served in, as the boss blamed my 7-year-old daughter. 3 star. I just had my lunch at ALLAN'S, good smallish menu. I had soup with bread and butter, fish, chips and peas. I swapped my dessert for a cup of tea, all for a very reasonable price. 5 star. Lovely traditional fish and chip shop for carry out or sit in. Immaculate inside and out, staff are all very friendly, food is great, so worth a visit. Mine, 5 star. I was recommended ALLAN'S during a trip to Scotland, and I'm so glad I decided to visit. Located in the heart of Paisley, despite its urban surroundings, the shop benefits from a few dedicated parking spaces at the rear of the building. As I stepped inside, it felt like being transported back to the 1940s when the shop was first established, or thereabouts. The decor, with its wood panelling and vintage atmosphere, really added to the experience. The shop features a spacious restaurant area on one side and a separate takeaway section on the other. The staff were friendly and polite, and the food was excellent. I was encouraged to try the lentil soup, which was delicious and came in a convenient takeaway cup with a lid that was fresh and encased in a perfectly crisp, light batter, and of course, I couldn't resist adding some scraps. The steak pie was a completely new experience for me. Tender chunks of beef in a thin gravy, served in a tray with a fluffy puff pastry in a separate paper bag to place on the top. I presumed it was to place on the top. It was an unusual yet delightful dish and a bit of fun to assemble. Cooking in rapeseed oil. Hygiene rating, pass, cash or card. If I'm ever in Paisley or thereabouts, I'll be calling back in. So, see you on the next one. If you like this video, subscribe, share it, like it, hit the notification bell, and if you have any recommendations in your area, put them in the comments. Thank you.